Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Oh, yeah. I love that reminder. The beautiful reminder that we get to choose what we're going to make things mean. Remember, you always have a choice. You always have a choice. I always have a choice. We always have a choice. And what is that choice that we have? Well, it's called free will to choose our thoughts. See, that's where your greatest power lies. See, it's through the use of that magnificent, great, awesome power that you can change the trajectory of your life if you'll just strengthen it. And remember, the only way that you can strengthen it is through the use of it. With that being said, when you choose good thoughts, when you choose to look for the good, you know what comes into your life? Exactly that. It's exactly as what Robert Collier shares in terms of the start. Remember, the secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth, of supply. We must build them in our own mind first. See, that's the choice that you must make in your life if you want the outer circumstances, results to change. Remember, your outer world is a reflection of what's happening in your inner world. Your inner world is a world of thought. When you change how you're thinking, and remember, you don't become what you think about most of the time, you become how you're thinking most of the time. When you change how you're thinking, your world changes. Think about that. Tap into how amazing and incredible that is when you embrace that power, when you use it. You know what I'm talking about. You've been coming to these calls, and as you've been applying it, the results have been changing. You've been feeling much different about yourself. How many of you agree with that, right? Nod your heads. See, that's called application. See, application, baby, that's where it's at. And that's what we invite to you. This is what we desire for you. See, both Dolly and I engaged with that from our coach and mentor, Bob Proctor. We learned and applied it in our own special way. And because of that implementation, the changes on the outside shifted. Our income increased, our lifestyle changed. The quality of people who came to us, that got better and better. But again, how did that happen? See, it happened because of use. It's because of choosing to see things that way. You know, I was diving into a chapter here in The Secret of These Ages this morning, and there's a chapter called What Do You Lack? And this is something that's really awesome. And it's something that we remind you of beautifully. As a matter of fact, we've emphasized this a lot in this beautiful gem here. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. And if you don't have a copy of this, oh my gosh, you need to get this. This is the book I wish was shared with me. That was broken down super simple to understand. And this helps you to see exactly what Robert Collier was talking about. And he says, remember that you are a creator. So when there is something you greatly want, make a mental picture of it. Imagine it. Put that picture on paper too, if you can. Then, pay attention to this, then consciously draw upon all the vital force around you and put it into the picture. Put it into the thoughtful mold. That thought mold, that picture represents. Do that, know then that you have, and have is capitalized, have the thing that you want. See, connect with it. Think from it, as what Neville Goddard shares. And you can confidently depend on your higher self to bring it into manifestation. There is magic, in believing. It is done unto you as you believe. Now, again, what's really amazing, incredible, is we've been diving into this beautifully with even this beautiful gem, the Master Key System, which is something that I definitely you should make a permanent part of your library, and you should have a copy of this if you want to read along with us word for word, chapter for chapter. Then get this specific copy. But with that, also remember that this knowledge that's in here, remember, knowledge is not power. All of this information is not power. It's just mere static information. And the only way that it becomes power is when it's used. See, it's when it's shifted into dynamic form. And that's where, unfortunately, the personal development world has fallen short. And they've unknowingly formed a culture of information gatherers. Get this book, read this, read that, read this, have a challenge to go read, 30 books in a year or something like that. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. You can collect all the information. I know someone who did that. Actually, they actually read 100 books in a year in personal development. And you know what was interesting? Very little changed in their life. They had that challenge. They were marking up all this book. And I've done that too before. I read all these books and go, wow, 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 wow. And then I was going, well, why have my results changed? Maybe that's been you. Maybe you've been this massive collector of information, and then you have all of this knowledge, and then you notice inferior results. Think about that: superior knowledge, inferior results. And then there's that feeling of frustration, confusion. You know what I'm talking about? All because of what? Not because you don't have the knowledge, you do. See, it's because of a lack of implementation, which is why these calls are so important, this reminder, which is why having a mentor is so important to lead and guide you. And that's one of the things that I do share, by the way. People ask for the quickest way to change. And I say, are you sure you want to hear this? And they say, yes, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Are you sure you want to hear it? It's going to be uncomfortable for you. Are you sure you want to hear it? I go, yeah, well, then I'll start with, well, the slowest way, which is good because you're still moving forward, is to self-study. Try and figure it out yourself. That's the slowest way to grow. The quickest way is with a mentor. Just look at any great athlete, any great business person, anyone who's really great at what they do. You know what you're going to find? You're going to find that they have a mentor. They have someone who understands it way better than them, that helps them to basically skip levels. And those of you who are nodding your heads, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the quickest way. But see, this is where most people get really uncomfortable. Why? Because they're used to doing it to themselves, and that was me. Not anymore. All right, so let's go into this, shall we? Let's go into where we were in this book, left off, and put this into play. And where we are is in part 19. I'm going to go over from the beginning of this specific section, and that's on page 324. Now, what was the first question? How are extremes placed in contrast? Well, the answer here is they are designated by distinctive names such as inside and outside, top and bottom, light and dark, good and bad. Bob Proctor talked about this frequently. He called it the law of polarity. There's no inside without an outside. Having said that, the inside and the outside make the whole. There's no good without bad. There's no up without a down. There's no left side of the page without the right side. Now, here he goes further and taps on what I just said. Are these separate entities? And the answer is no. They are parts or aspects of the whole. Now, that's important to understand that because you have polar opposites when it comes to your life, when it comes to the results in your life. See, the results are the effect, the cause is the thinking. See, they're polar opposite. Bob would talk about this when diving into the three planes of understanding that we live in simultaneously. And that's the spiritual, the intellectual, which is inside, and then the physical, the thoughts to the ideas to the things. The thoughts lead to the ideas, which then lead to the things. Now, I want you to notice how the thoughts and the things are opposite. See, they're part of the whole. And what's beautiful is once you get that, when you understand that there is a whole, and that you can dive into thinking from that, you know what starts to change? What starts to change is the outcomes of your life. And again, you can look at this practically just by looking in the room you're in right now at the things that were made. I mean, look in the room right now. There's lots of things in your room right now. You have your notebook, you have your pen, you have your clothes, the pictures on the wall. See, that's the result. That's the thing. What do they all have in common? All of them were a thought before they became the thing. See, the thought externalized to the result. Someone took something from the no thing and turned it into something. See, that's how everything is delivered. And understanding that whole will help you to deliver incredible changes in your life. I mean, think about this for your goal card. And I do recommend that you have a goal card. With that being said, I'm going to remind you that you don't manifest what's on the goal card. What you manifest is how you feel about it. With that being said, if you think in terms of this, if you wrote down the right kind of goal, which is something that's not existent in the physical world, something that's crazy, something that a lot of people would tell you, my gosh, who are you to do that? Maybe your paradigm says that. Well, I have news for you. If that's something that you've come up with in your mind, and if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. So you can become an external result in your life. But only if you work from this. Now think about that. Thomas Troward talks about this beautifully as well. Talks about the whole. In order for there to be an outer, there must be an inner. With that being said, the inner is what's moving to the outer, not the other way around. Now think about that for you. Maybe you're wanting to feel happier most of the time. Maybe you've been locked into this state of, oh, I just don't, and maybe there's pessimism in your life right now. And that's how you've been feeling most of the time. Well, you got to remember that those feelings you're feeling are effects. Something's causing that. See, that's the outside. So with that, I can pull in my fun question that I love to ask is, will you be able to be happy most of the time? If your mind is saturated with thoughts of sadness and disappointment, the answer is no. There's no way that's going to happen. Why? Because the inside is what determines the outside. If you want to express that on the outside, where you have happiness, you're confident, where you're expressing amazing power in you to everybody, so that everybody sees that, you've got to build that in your own mind first. I think about how beautiful that is, and it ties to this. See, are those separate entities in terms of those distinctive names, such as inside, outside, top, bottom, dark, light, good, bad? No, they're not. They're parts or aspects of one whole. And understanding that can help you to, my gosh, attract a lot of money, a lot of change, a lot of travel, a lot of different lifestyle, but only if you operate that way. Now, before we move further, for those of you who are watching this live stream on the social media platforms, and if this is connecting with you and you'd love to continue this to watch the rest of these calls and to access the replays and to join this amazing, beautiful, powerful community of doers, then do yourself a favor and go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind. You will thank yourself.